this! We stand as one.
Are you gonna give me orders?
Our next series is going to be a TVT between SpeCial and Cure. You know,
Yep.
Now we're talking about phone calls, right? I don't know why I want to share this story, but I almost never call anymore. I think that goes for most people, right? Like, who calls in this day and age? You're like, either you're texting or you're on Discord, or in the old days, like FaceTiming or whatever.
Let me rewind my VHS, like, honestly.
But I remember when I was in America one afternoon, I had something that was kind of urgent, and I was like, you know what? I sent Sean a message, and then you're like, hey, man, are you available at 3 p.m.? I'll give you a little call, because we were talking about some stuff in related to a company that we both dealt with. And we called, and I was like, I haven't called in years. And I remember that I kept talking over you, and it was like, is he done? I was like,
no, I know exactly the call you're talking about.
Yeah,
oh my God. And we were both like, hello, like, hey, are you using push to talk?
Yeah. It was so hard, man. I was like, wow, I just realized that having a phone call is really difficult these days.
Well, down in the bottom right is our first competitor from Korea. It is DPG's Cure.
And on the top right side of Eternal Empire, we're looking in the main base of the man who played fantastic TVT yesterday in TSL. Can he do it again? It is SpeCial.
So, you know, I've watched a lot of SpeCial games over the years, which means I've also watched a lot of major games and a lot of windy games as well. The person that changes their name the most is, without a doubt, SpeCial. And really, SpeCial, this feels like the matchup that really showcases SpeCial's capabilities, where you already know the composition for the most part, right? A lot of Marines, a lot of Vikings, a lot of tanks. These are the bread and butter. And it's all about positioning, tactics, and mechanics, which SpeCial, whenever that's the story of the game, he excels. I'm curious, though, can you talk to me a little bit about Cure's style? I'm not as familiar with what would make Cure unique as a Terran compared to other Terrans.
I find that really hard to answer. When I think of Cure, I just think of a beast of a Terran player these days. Like a little bit of the Korean version of Clem, you know, where it's just like, this man is on fire. This man is great at pretty much everything he does. I honestly don't think we're going to see too many crazy things. Like, I know that he has fantastic micro, obviously, so maybe we'll see slightly more like Reaper Hellion openings coming out of him than we will see out of SpeCial. I expect Cure to be slightly more aggressive throughout this series, right? Where it's like a very high pace, like the opposite of boring. You know, there's always something happening in a Cure game, a little bit similar to how Bonnie plays as well in some of the different matchups. But I honestly think it's going to be somewhat straightforward, where obviously the Raven phase in TVT is going to be very important for both players.
We see some interesting command center placement out of SpeCial. This is, for any of you who don't know this is called an Android CC. Once upon a time, there was a player by the name of Android who, just for some reason, would place his command centers like one hex off. And because there was no ability to do research back then, we were all like, is this just like better and we don't know about it? And the answer is no, it's just not better. Wow. SpeCial did lose a Reaper in the main base, but more or less got
SCVs though. He got 3 SCVs. I think that's something that you'll be quite okay with, because that Reaper is more like a safety unit, right? And like, yeah, you'll get a scout with it, but you use it. You build a Reaper because you need a Reaper against certain openings, because it has a lot of micro potential. If you know the game is normal, you may as well get rid of that Reaper. And if you can take out 3 SCVs, I think that's pretty fantastic here for Juanito. You know, I love that you brought up the Android thing again, because you also referenced this earlier today, and I was like, is this like a cell phone joke that I'm not getting? Like, I had no idea. I'm not familiar with the Android comments. And I thought you were referring to cell phone. Yeah, no, I was like, I don't get the joke, but...
There's a very talented Russian Terran player that I used to practice a ton with, who would, in particular, in major tournaments, just put his command center one hex off. And it was, oh God, that just... As a StarCraft player, man, that hurts. I'm like, just scoot it, just lift it, and scoot it. It's not like you built the Nexus, didn't notice, and well, it's done now, right? You can just, it's a command center, man. Lift it, move it.
So what you're telling us is this guy could have been the GOAT if he would have just built this command center on the right location.
He was one hex off goatiness for sure.
I love it. What could have been, you know?
Oh, of course. It's so true. It's the same way that if anyone who's watching in chat right now just had the time, they too could be a GSL champion.
Yeah, because the knowledge is there. I think
I can tell. I mean, I've been seeing the insight stream on my screen all morning. And we're happy to have you all. I tease everyone. I tease. You know what? There is no one who's going to be more of an armchair analyst than your pal Sean today, man. I am having a blast.
This is cool, actually. Look at that Liberator. That Liberator is on top of the tank. The tank goes down, and now the Hellions and Reaper can dive in. They can just ignore this bunker. And SpeCial had a good start, but this is a sick play by Cure. Wow, I love it. What?
Beast of a Terran indeed. Look at this, the Cyclone. I mean, Hellions are not good versus Cyclones, but a lot beats a little every day of the week in StarCraft. And all of a sudden, in what should be a period of absolute stability in a TVT, Cure finds a way to just bash on in. Oh, it doesn't even matter what the rally points of those Marines are. There's a Liberator right there to easily one-shot him right in the teeth.
I mean, if you think about lost mining time, look at this. SpeCial hasn't been mining of his natural since all of this started. The tank is going to siege up a little bit closer. SCVs are being rallied too early, so the Liberator picks up 2 more kills. But that's like,
7.
How do you kill that Liberator?
Total.
An auto turret, maybe? Is that what you do?
I guess you got to sneak up behind him, but that's like only possible in Scooby-Doo, man. This is Cure. Cure will just unsiege and back up. I mean, what a play! What a play!
He gets out of there with 4 Hellions as well, just to add insult to injury. And a lot of these SCVs are already beat up from those Hellions, which means that the Banshee is going to be able to do even more work. The Raven is out of position. Cure is relentless. What an insane opening.
And Cure, okay, let's take a peek at this. We see immediately the Banshee movement speed, the hyper flight rotors, as well as Cyclone range getting researched back to back. I mean, Cure is just keen on aggression this game.
I mean, the Liberator is probably going to go down now, but the Banshees are coming back in the natural as well. This is insane. Okay, I'm actually blown away. Like, Cure right now is making it look like he's a completely different league than SpeCial. Absolutely amazing execution of this aggression. 17 SCVs went down. He has created a 20 worker lead for himself. Wow. Oh my goodness.
Okay, I mean, let's think about this. You typically think of Hellions and Cyclones as opportunities to hit workers. I siege up, I maybe run by, but then Cure going, well, with your setup, you should only be reliant on tanks. Tanks are the thing that will deny this Hellion run by, so I'm going to siege up, and even though SpeCial lost the tank, if SpeCial say unsiege the tank, you know what you do as Cure? Well, then you just immediately dart on in there with the Hellions. We see some Cyclone versus Cyclone action, which some of the funniest looking micro in StarCraft 2. But a 4th base from Cure? I mean,
on location.
This is psychotic.
Yeah, on location as well. He's just like, there is literally nothing that you're ever going to do about this. Because I'm going to keep being aggressive. You're going to try to defend. You're going to try to economically recover. And because there is mag field as well, these tanks, they actually fall very quickly. Now, of course, SpeCial has mag field accelerator as well, but this is hard, man. We do finally have a cloaked Banshee for SpeCial as well on the other side of the map. Going to try to do some damage, but obviously Cure, with the lead that he has, losing a few SCVs is not going to be the end.
This is really heads-up play from SpeCial to not go into too defensive of a mode. And again, this is really where SpeCial shines, is when he just has to use mechanics, focus, counterattacking, multitasking in order to get an edge. I mean, that's 12 workers down. And this is one of the issues when you get a little bit overeager in Cure's position.
Yeah, that's pretty insane damage for one Banshee. I mean, I just mentioned Noni Zealot that got 20 SCVs. This is not quite Noni Zealot, but 16 workers going down over here. 17 in the end. Can he get one more? No, that's going to be it. Well, that's great for SpeCial. He's sort of back in it. He's still losing. He's still down in almost every aspect.
Okay, yeah. But yeah, it's like, wow, that was good. He's losing. Don't misread what I'm saying. And I mean, now SpeCial just sending out this pair of Marines, no doubt to just get a little bit of extra information, but instead winds up discovering, yikes, Planetary Fortress. We see more factories in the main base for Cure, going for the heavy mech. Wow.
Cure's Banshees are just going insane in the main base now. It's like, yeah, it was really cool when you killed 17 SCVs. You think you caught back up in the work account? No, you didn't. I'm gonna kill 11 as well. So once again, we're back to the economic advantage that Cure was in before.
Man. I mean, what do you do here as SpeCial? I mean, Cure, man, that is crazy. That opening, and then how Cure leveraged the opening. I mean, typically we think of this matchup as, you know, it's about the tank. It's the tanks try to get into position, and then you can get the Vikings to kill their air units, so then I can get more range and vision for my tanks. You know, there's like a lot of things that point back to that unit. But we see Cure just building this very mobile Hellion Cyclone force, skimping out on tanks early in order to get double upgrades, in order to get the map control, in order to get the presence. I mean, this is a very, very nice sequence of plays from Cure.
Mm-hmm. I gotta say, I'm impressed with SpeCial's ability to sort of hang in there and still like find the courage to send the Banshee to the other side of the map when things went so wrong, and then actually find a great opening and get a lot of workers. But yeah, securing this base is going to be very difficult. That's a lot of Cyclones with Macfield Accelerator, which means this orbital takes an insane amount of damage and it goes down.
I mean, the range once you get Macfield is just ridiculous. And I mean, look at this. SpeCial just, yep, I'll just re-expand here, and sending along the remainder of his tanks too to cut this force off. Lock-ons versus lock-ons, and it looks like SpeCial, no stranger to this situation, not going to siege up, going to continue to try to power forward, pick off this force. And does so
actually making a little mistake there. I think he thought that SpeCial was not going to chase that army, because he could have saved a couple of those Cyclones. He ended up losing them instead. But he's obviously going to feel really good about sniping that orbital. But it is important that he doesn't let these tanks from SpeCial siege up in a dangerous position, because we still have a Raven on the side of the Mexican Terran player as well.
Where is this Raven, man? Where?
We had.
Yeah, no, I was looking somewhere, and then I hit U to look at the units tab. I'm like, oh, I guess it just took a trip. But I mean, SpeCial's very calm mechanics, allowing him to defend against that attack, allowing him to use the tanks to chase down and to pick off the enemy Cyclones, means that Cure and SpeCial, for the first time in a while, are more or less on even footing in terms of supply. This is such a challenging spot to be in, because right now, the Cyclones can do so much damage. They're sort of like power mutalisks in a way. If you have anything out of position, the Cyclones can just lock onto small numbers of things and pick them off. But the tanks are still going to be the core positional unit right now. So the question is, how does SpeCial, with a limited number of tanks on the field right now, siege up in a position to successfully defend this fourth base? Because Cure's going to be gearing up to start attacking, because Cure's been on 4 base forever.
Yeah, SpeCial did go for 4 orbital commands, so that's kind of his way of saying, like, I still think I'm a little bit behind, but I don't really need a planetary here, because you have 1 million Cyclones anyway, so what is a planetary truly going to do for me? I may as well just go for 4 orbital commands. That's a really good scan, I think, by Cure, so he's going to be able to get a couple of lock-ons there. I am amazed by SpeCial. Like, I thought this game was over. After he lost 20 SCVs, he was contained. He was just like, absolutely nothing was going his way.
Oh, yeah.
SpeCial is making this a game. And I don't know if you had similar experiences when you used to play, but if I have a disastrous start and I still make it a close game, even if I end up losing it, I'd be like, if I just have a better start, like, I actually think this is not a game to feel bad about for SpeCial.
No, I have the exact opposite feeling, man. The last thing I want when I've had a bad opening is hope. I experience hope for 20 minutes and then I lose, and I'm like, damn it! Why didn't you just kill me 5 minutes into this game? Oh man, you are a much more robust person than I am, Roddy.
Now, one thing that is obviously incredibly bad for SpeCial, and we do have to mention that, are the upgrades. He is down 4 upgrades. Yeah. Now, with Cyclones, that's a bit odd, and obviously being up in upgrades is great, but it doesn't mean you can run into tanks. I mean, those were good trades, though, for Cure. Cure has been killing a lot of SCVs as well, actually, during all of this. They're both just killing SCVs left, right, and center.
20 kill Blue Flame Hellion. 20 kill at the north. Oh my gosh, just now getting cleaned up. And this might be the... Wow. This might be the first game that I have seen in, gosh, maybe 5-6 years where there could be a 3-3 player versus a 0-0 player.
Yeah, you don't see that very often, though.
And I really don't think that this is some sort of dumb mistake that SpeCial made. I think this is actually a testament to how Special is navigating through this very fragile situation where he's going, well, you know what? Tanks already deal a pretty whopping base damage. Even if I don't have the upgrades, you know what? That's okay. Because it can come down to positioning. Special can win in the long, long game.
Like, this is pretty decent positioning over here, I think, for Special at first. He's down 4 upgrades, but he is winning a fight. How often do you say that? Well, in Mac, maybe it is possible. Cure really has to be careful. Cure is probably wondering what is happening. He's clicking on these units. He's like, you've got no upgrades. Like, how's this game not over yet? Special is winning fights, being down 4 upgrades.
Oh, look at just the perfect tank positioning from Special. I mean, at the end of the day, though, as much as I am admiring Special's ability to navigate from a terrible situation, again, I can't stress enough, if you lose control of your natural early on and lose a bunch of units, for almost all players, that's game. But with that said, look at the brilliant position that Cure has secured for himself so early on in the game. Special, though, oh no, Cure being a little overeager with these Cyclones. What just spectacular displays of skill from Special. How is this possible?
It shouldn't be possible. I mean, there's still some harass happening as well. There is a 6 upgrade advantage. Things I did not expect to say today in TSL 5.
3-3 versus 0-0.
Yeah, and it's a game. And Special is winning fights. Now, there are battle cruisers on the way. There is very little anti-air for Special right now. He still has a couple Cyclones at home. This is, I actually don't know. Like, how do you summon this up? He's gonna scan. These tanks are kind of trapped, right? But it's still hard to engage this amount of tanks. Special's gonna flank the Cyclones on the top side. He's gonna try to get a decent trade here, but 6 upgrades, Sean. 6, come on.
I mean, at this point in time, if Special can get these tanks down to pick off this southern base, Special will have a decisive advantage. If Special cannot do that, this is still a very, very close match. Because, siege, unsiege drama happening. Special trying to pierce in. Battle cruisers are almost out, and there they are. I don't know if Special has any idea that they're incoming, though. No, it doesn't even look like it.
I don't think he does, but he does still have a lot of Cyclones. And Cyclones with Macfield Accelerator, hey, they move pretty quickly. They can stay out of range. Special is actually maxed out. Now, I've seen and casted a lot of StarCraft over the years. I don't recall somebody winning, being down 6 upgrades. This could actually be esports history.
Maybe original Warcraft 3 players did get it, Roddy.
No, I don't. Yeah, the upgrades are overrated.
Upgrades are the worst.
Upgrades?
Look at this. It's down. The expansion's down. It's now 3 base to like. Well, I guess it's still 3 because Cure did lift off his natural expansion, and now Cure with some sort of desperation Hellion Cyclone counterattack might pierce through. Special still has a huge. Look at this. Look at this. Absolute brilliance. Oh my God.
You are kidding me. Now the BCs jump in as well, but now the BCs are revealed, and all that Special needs to do is scan, keep vision of these BCs, and get some lock-ons going. He's got a lot of Cyclones. 18 minutes in, Special's like, oh yeah, upgrades. Maybe I should drop some armories as well, so I too can get upgrades.
I thought he had an armory, but just hadn't started. No, it's at 18 minutes into a TVT on 5 base goes, yeah, upgrades are going to be pretty helpful here, huh?
Oh my God, he's up 7. Wow!
And it's GG with 0-0 upgrades! The 0-0 upgrades!
No.
Oh my God. No. Wow. Oh, you got 3-3. Oh, sweet child, what a mistake you've made. To get 3-3 upgrades when going mech. Ugh. Like, what was that match?
I cannot believe it. The start was so good for Cure. The execution with the aggression, the Liberator Hellions, the Banshee follow-up, it was amazing. And then eventually, like, okay, there is a Cloak Banshee for Special. It gets 15 STVs, maybe a little more than it should, but that's not going to make the difference, right? And then it's like, okay, he's getting good fights, but he's down 4 upgrades. He's down 6 upgrades. Wow. Insane. Insane.
Oh. Okay. I was hoping that we'd get an opportunity to talk about Special's good mechanics. In that game, there was not... A lot of times when people think mechanics, they tend to think someone who's really good at microing. They tend to think someone who never misses a beat in macro. But there is almost a more fundamental aspect, which is just good multitasking, which is no matter where there was a thing, Special was there. with just the right allocation. We saw 2 sets of Hellion Cyclone poking from both sides from Cure, but then we also saw just enough tanks for Special to defend, and then a majority of Special's army would then eat one of those troops. And then that, like 6 times in a row, that is some high-level play if you are able to outposition someone of Cure's caliber that many times in a row. Whoa. What the hell?
Speechless.
What in the heck?
Speechless. The 18-minute double armory while being maxed out and down 6 upgrades. Oh, Cure is going to be kicking himself. I think that's the last mech game Cure is going to play in his life, okay? I think Cure's like, you know what? Tanks were never my friends. Marines have always been my friends. I'm going back to Marines.
Listen, I was talking about like Marines and Vikings and tanks, and I feel like I was onto something with that. I mean, like, I know that mech is a completely legitimate style. The sort of stability and that you can get with a tank line backed by Marines is a real kind of comfort. The next map is going to be Purity and Industry, though. So Roddy, tell me what to think. What am I supposed to think about Terran vs. Terran on this map? Tell me what to think.
Okay, it's pretty funny because
put the thoughts into my mind. Put them into my brain.
One of my favorite streams is obviously the Big Gabriel stream, Hero Marine. And first, you know, Gabe was like a mech on this map, and he's playing quite a bit of mech, and then suddenly it was just like, at least in some of the different matchups, he's like, this is not good for mech. But I have seen him play quite some mech in TVT here, and I always felt he's like, the strategy was good. It's just I need to practice it a little bit more. So I have the feeling that he's a fan of mech on this one. And I think if he's a fan of it, then Juanito is probably going to be a fan of it as well.
Really?
Cure, I mean, this might be a mech map, but after that last game, I'd be stunned if he plays another mech game there, okay? If it's another game of battle mech, I think there's no way. There's just no way. Purity and Industry for the first time today. And I'm almost going to say the first time this tournament, but I'm not 100% sure about that.
Well, looks like we are kicking into gear with a beast of a Terran that pulled some incredible early game tactics in Game 1. DPG Cure, hanging out in the blue.
And on the top side of Purity and Industry, or on the Purity side, you could say, we're looking at the main base of the man who was pretty much down and out, but he turned it around, the never give up spirit, shown by SpeCial. Gonna get some proxy Reapers over here. I think at least.
You'd hope to see it.
Yeah, I mean, he could make Marines, but I'd be really surprised.
No, you see, this is a mind game second SCV. It's just there to replace that other SCV halfway through, you know.
Well, SpeCial is going to scout. Let's see if he's actually scouting in the right direction. The answer is yes. Wow, what a great start for SpeCial.
I'm always so impressed with how, with all these different map architectures, these pros are so consistent about scouting precisely the location where all the proxies are produced every single time.
Another SCV is coming in for SpeCial as well. This could get really interesting. SpeCial can potentially delay this second barracks for quite some time because he's got way more HP on one of those SCVs. And now obviously with the Reaper finishing up, eventually Cure can get this barracks done. But SpeCial is buying so much time for himself over here.
This is hilarious, but also like completely logical if you think about it. If you send one SCV and then you get an advantage in terms of the hit points on that first SCV, which you should because it's building and your SCV is not. If you send a second SCV, that guarantees that your opponent cannot finish the second barracks because you'll have 2 SCVs with more health than their 2 SCVs.
What do you make of this defense over here by SpeCial? Because he scouted it so early, he's actually just going Marines here. He had an SCV in the location where the Reaper could potentially jump up as well. But SpeCial skipped his own Reaper in favor of more Marines because he's like, I scouted this so early that I can get Marine Hellion. And you will always have more Reapers, so trying to get into a Reaper base, I guess, is not that great. But having a lot of Marines this early on, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, like Reapers don't transition pretty much at all. And you're definitely going to be able to get some other supplementary unit in addition to the Marines. If you're talking like just Marines versus just Reapers, then yeah, no, I'm not going to feel very good as the Mariner. But, SpeCial then has the opportunity to have some units that do transition. Maybe you just stop at 2 Hellions and just get mines. Starport is I would generally say a totally fine, totally reasonable, normal-looking choice. But there are these weird, I don't even know what these are called, these giant slow fields, the inhibitor generators.
Inhibitor zones.
Yeah, I didn't even know you could select this. This is like completely new info for me, man. I was playing on maps and being like the giant green slow dome, the mothership core spell that lasts forever. Yeah, I mean, this is going to make the Cyclone harassment, in theory, a little bit slow. But given that your opponent has gone for 2 Barracks Reaper, that's a lot of gas burned on things that are not next steps in tech.
Yeah, and if you're Cure right now, you can't be too happy with this. You're sitting on all these Reapers. You haven't achieved anything yet. Your expand is going to be late. I'm actually shocked that SpeCial is building his command center on the low ground. Like, I love his position, but I almost feel like that's the only way that you can end up losing this game, right? Because this is a lot of Reapers, and I don't know if SpeCial can win this fight.
Oh, and looks like the Liberator manages to get to the main base, but Cure has the Cyclone right there. The Liberator sieges up. SpeCial's not paying attention. It picks off a single unit before dropping. And now SpeCial has but a single Cyclone and a smattering of other units versus just non-stop Reaper production from Cure. Cure literally doesn't have any other tech structures. He's only just now starting the barracks, and it looks like Reaper Cyclone is going to be the opening.
Oh my god, he doesn't get the Cyclone.
Wow.
Cure died from the Cyclone and he doesn't get it. It was so low. It was like on 1 or 2 HP or something. Great micro, of course, there by SpeCial, but that was a costly mistake because you pointed it out. Cure is just sitting on Reapers and Cyclones now, and he just lost 3 of them for absolutely nothing.
Looks like we're now having some of the Cyclone aggression from Cure step back up. These Reapers and Cyclones are fast enough to outrun essentially everything, so double lock on to the enemy Cyclones. But I mean, Juanito has just no problem continuing to deflect these attacks. Looking at the worker count, little lead for SpeCial, but the danger is actually in the army tab. You see that there's 23 supply to 10, but note, a bunch of this is Reapers. Reapers don't really do the most. And if you're going Cyclone and your opponent is also going Cyclone but has the Cyclone lead, you know, you can. It's kind of like the problems that you have in Muta versus Muta battles. Whoever has more wins the first battle, which means that they will win the second battle harder, which means they will win the third battle harder. And it looks like Cure is feeling the pain, so he's just taking a pseudo hidden expansion in the bottom right.
Yeah, he's just building it on location because he's like, all right, I am actually pretty far behind at this point. SpeCial just sent in one of his Banshees in the main base. He got 4 kills and it got picked off by the Cyclone. But, you know, getting 4 SCVs when you're already economically ahead, which he was, because the orbital command wasn't even done yet in the natural Cure. I mean, you got to be feeling really good about this game if you're SpeCial. And boy, oh boy, it's just upset alert today, isn't it? I mean, SpeCial is super good, of course, in PvP, don't get me wrong, but if you would have told me that SpeCial was going to be up 1-0 against Cure and then looking absolutely fantastic in Game 2, I'd be like, yeah, slow down there, SpeCial fan. Like, maybe, but most likely not. But it's
not. My bracket is just in tatters. It is. I mean, I voted for Zest, Youth Thermal 3-0. I voted for Clem. Oh, hey, we got 1 on the board. I voted for... I guess I voted for Trap. Hey, good job, guys. Feeling good. But I mean, again, we're having like, if SpeCial wins this, then, man. Rip
I mean,
I voted.
I'm 1-3 so far today, and obviously I had Cure winning this one. So my Kilo could have been right before we're even 5 best-of-3s in. Like, this is almost a legendary bad prediction game by me, but yeah, what are these results?
What stocks should I buy? All right, let's short these.
Yeah, exactly. I'm feeling really good about all of these companies, so I'm shorting them.
Well, looks like, I mean, SpeCial, very cautious with this tank positioning. It is a real power unit.
I mean, he's in the natural. I think he's done it already. That one tank is zoning out the 2 Cyclones of Cure. Cure just has no units anymore, man. He's on 13 army supply. There is a Raven there, but the Raven actually will live. The other turret takes care of the Cyclone. GG. SpeCial with the 2-0 lead. Wow.
I mean, multi-step victory. All very, very technical and clever. Step 1. Seeing that there was the proxy and just sending a second SCV right away. And you saw that it was not really a desperation thing. It was just like, yeah, 2 strong SCVs versus 2 half-health SCVs. You don't get to finish building this. Delayed it enough. Then what did SpeCial do? Expand and just build some basic units. Yeah. Super straightforward. And then just microed really well.
I was worried for a split second when he was building his command center on location on the low ground, while Cure was still on one base. And I was like, that's a little bit risky because there's a lot of micro potential in the Reapers. But they never really got it done. And I think the real key moment this game was when Cure dove on that Cyclone, right? He just went all out. He sent a lot of the Reapers forward, and he didn't get it. Lost 3 or 4 Reapers in the process. And then he showed up with his own Cyclones and Reapers, but he had 3 Reapers less than he could have had. And then obviously SpeCial had his own Cyclones there in position as well. And it's like, all right, well, I'll just defend now and I'll sit on my lead, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, in the same way that you and I were shocked at some of the attacks that Trap did earlier today, excuse me, I feel like if you look at one of those attacks, it fails with such high probability that you start to go, yeah, you just shouldn't do this sort of thing. And what SpeCial did by building that low ground on location command center was kind of the inverse of that, which is like, there's no way you can defend that. And then, no, he just controls it perfectly. Like leaving the Cyclone alive with 1 health, that is perfect micro. That means you maximally baited your opponent while minimally losing. Like that is so challenging to do.
Yep, and did a great job earlier as well with keeping the Hellions alive. It wasn't even just the Cyclone, but even the Hellions were alive. Yeah. What did you say? Sorry?
Me?
Yeah. Oh, I thought I heard something.
Oh, sorry. I'm sorry. I had to scratch my eyebrow and I jostled my microphone a little bit.
Okay. I was like,
because I'm so
me something.
I'm so big and clumsy, Rotterdam. Yeah, I'm like, Rotterdam, the game is starting. Rotterdam. I'm like a complete idiot.
It's really funny that you say that because I almost thought that you said I'm not in the game. That's what I kind of
help. Okay, down at the bottom right, who has been marked with bold aggression in the opening, hoping to be able to follow through for his first victory in Game 3. It's DPG's Cure!
And over here in the left top side, just continuing the absolute domination of non-Koreans against Koreans today. It is SpeCial. Come on. What a day.
I'm still so tickled by the idea that I would whisper something to you on air in hopes that everybody watching live wouldn't hear it, but you would.
You're laughing over here, but my good friend Benjamin Baker, also known as the Muslim, a couple of home story cups ago, we were sitting on the couch, we were casting games, with like 3 or 4 dudes on the couch. I don't know who was there. And at one point, the Muslim goes, "Be right back, I have to pee." I was like, "You're saying that in a microphone, Ben." And he's like, and he starts laughing and he runs away in the middle of the game. And I was like, I have never seen a man whisper something in a microphone live on a broadcast.
All right, after this opening, I got a little bit of a story time. Looks like SpeCial is doing more or less the same opening that Cure did, except it is a protected 2 racks. There is no risk of it being interrupted. So this generally, you would say, is not based upon timing. This is based upon amount. You are trying to get the 2 racks so you can have enough Reapers for some sort of delayed get-in-there moment. And we already see evidence of this. SpeCial has the SCV be the focus of the first Reaper. And it's going to be pretty much, scouting denial from SpeCial. And Cure, look at this, is actually going Reaper Hellion. Is not going to be going for the Marine Hellion style that we saw from SpeCial.
No, that was actually a really interesting response, and I wonder if that had to do with how quickly he scouted it and just feeling that he could get away with it. I think Cure's build here is a lot more standard. He's got the 4 SCVs on gas like we often see. SpeCial on the other side of the map, he's got 6 SCVs on gas, so he's going to be pretty serious about this. Can he get the first SCV? The answer is no. SpeCial has to be very careful here because obviously he's going to expand a lot later, so you want to get something done with this opening if you're SpeCial.
Yeah, I mean, this is a lot of gas banked up, and there's always this really weird sort of production timing as Terran, where you have, it seems like enough to expand, but if you start your next production round of units, then you're broke again, and it's like a big decision point. It looks like SpeCial was just going to try to build a good amount of Reapers and then chill for a little bit, but it just feels so much like something else is coming. It feels like there has to be a second step here for SpeCial.
Okay. SpeCial's kind of in an unfortunate spot. They lost the Reaper, didn't kill Reaper yet of Cure, but in the end it's a 1-for-1 trade. But now these Hellions are getting some really good shots of all the Reapers were lined up, so they took maximum damage from these Hellions. And now this is gonna get bad for SpeCial.
This is just a devastating position for Special. And over on the other side, Cure has all the key structures, barracks, factory, starport done, getting add-ons, getting the Reaper up into the main base, getting the Hellions into the main base. Oh no! Special lowered the supply depot at the wrong time, and now the Hellions are in the main base, and Cure is just carefully microing things to keep these alive as long as possible. Wow. The Cyclone arrives and just ends that attack in a heartbeat, but this is suddenly gone from some interesting pressure on Special side to the third game in a row where Cure has mounted a very strong attack at the natural.
Yeah, like it felt like, okay, this is obviously bad for Special, right? Because he lost all his Reapers. His command center is not being finished up at this point, so he's going to fall a little bit economically behind. But then it got a lot worse with those two super low HP Hellions getting in the main base. But I guess it doesn't matter if a Hellion is full on HP or 10%, it will still kill SCVs rather quickly if there is absolutely nothing shooting at them. So well done by Cure. I think he got even more than he could have dreamed of there. I mean, in game one, it didn't matter, but that can't happen again, right? Eventually someone has to be able to hang on to a lead. And eventually a Korean needs to be the non-Korean today, am I right?
Yeah, gosh, I mean, come on, man. We're already seeing on the side of Cure, well, I mean, Cure kind of stylistically is doing the same thing 3 games in a row, right? He is, I am going to try to do a big attack at the natural and then go very greedy. We have seen triple or quadruple command center in essentially every circumstance, and it looks like Cure is now finally going to be getting interested in getting stim pack. The late game sort of bio setup started early on. Scan goes down from Cure right on the production center of Special to get a good sense of what's going on, and I feel like it's not yet really indicative necessarily of bio or mech. I mean, I would say 90% is going to be bio because we do have 2 barracks, but you know. Heavy
and 2 eBays and Stim on the way, you know. There's a couple signs towards bio there. But,
I'm sorry. I meant on Special side.
Oh, no.
Not
Special, there's a good chance that he plays... how was this memeing? That he obviously plays mech because we know that he loves it. So we'll see where he takes it. He is moving out, though. So this is going to be interesting, right? Because if Special gets absolutely nothing done here, then it's a super rough spot. But he is going to get a little contain going. It's sort of like a soft contain because he's not in range of the production facilities. He's not in range of the mineral line. But at least he has units on the other side of the map.
Yeah, I mean, this is rarely ever going to do some sort of kill sequence. This is nice that it can shut off connection to this 4th gas geyser on the part of Cure, but you know, this is, wow, Cure actually had the tanks 1 hex too far. That's the android tank. Not quite in range of Special's tanks. And this many Vikings this early on is a real challenge to deal with because there's just no vision that you can get as Cure. Wow, actually this is turning into a magnificent timing.
Yep, Stim is done. But obviously no combat shield, so that means that stimming forward in 3 tanks is very risky. There's another tank coming as well. So this Viking tank build order by Special, even though once again he was kind of on the ropes after the initial stages, this is starting to look really promising. A good scan there as well. He sees the 2 medevacs. The Vikings looking to intercept it. Well done by Special. That's a sick play. That command set is not being repaired.
Oh my goodness. No, it's down! Wow, completely focused on the medevac Viking drama in the main base, loses the expansion, and we see now Special starting the 3rd command center, and also now finally committing to a decision to go for bio. We see the Tech Lab barracks in the main. But I mean, look at this. Cure is just going to try to be hitting from other sides. 1-1's going to be done for Cure. We see the backup command center, formerly the artist known as the 3rd base, is just going to be the long distance mining for the natural.
These Vikings have been insane for Special. He just sniped the Raven there as well, which had a lot of energy, so that could have been a couple of auto turrets. There is actually Stim now on the way for Special as well. He's maybe just like, well, now I'm suddenly in a pretty decent spot. I mean, he's building a 3rd command center. He picked off an entire base of Cure. Cure wants to eventually collapse on this army, but it's going to be so hard. He's going for it, coming in from every angle. Do the Marines have enough DPS to clean this up? The answer is yes. Wow, well done by Cure.
That's a really nice attack by Cure, and of course pulling the SCVs in order to get a little bit of extra oomph to push through. Only losing 9 in that exchange, which is very, very nice. On the flip side, we see that Cure only has 2 command centers. Special just now finishing a 3rd command center. And after all is said and done, it's kind of funny that Cure actually has a light supply lead, also has an upgrade lead. I mean, this is sometimes the risk of doing these, not early aggression, but maybe like one step past that aggression. You are committing quite a lot of money in order to do that. And if things go south like they did there, you can actually wind up losing quite a lot of supply. But the Vikings might be the heroes still and pick off these medevacs.
Yeah, that's once again a 2 upgrade lead. Now, well, obviously, we saw history being made where the 0-0 player beat the 3-3 player. But that was with mech. Like, with bio, there is just no way. Even a 2 upgrade advantage with bio units is massive. And it's incredibly hard for anyone to basically win fights with Marine Tank against Marine Tank if you're down in upgrades. So I kind of like where this is going for Cure. And that's impressive, man, because he was on the verge of defeat there. Things were starting to look really bad after he lost the orbital, but he kept it together. He stayed calm and composed. He got a couple of units on the outside, eventually cleaned up that contain, and now the tables are turned. And he's like, hey, this is a much more fun spot to be in.
In case you missed the action of what SpeCial did to Cure, it's exactly what Cure's doing to SpeCial right now. Like, the Siege Tank's just out of range of the expansion. And, we might look at what Cure's doing right now and go, ooh, that's a little conservative, pulling back. But I actually feel like this is a hallmark of a really tip-top player, to do a little bit of damage and go, a little bit of damage that's now guaranteed, where I can safely go home and I've always had a net gain. That's more worth it than trying to push my luck, which also puts me in a risky spot. So I think that this is very good conservative response by Cure not to overinvest in that harassment at the front.
I love that little skirmish we just saw there, where Cure's like, don't worry, man, I'm on sieging, and he grabs his entire army, he sends everything back, and then he sees the AFK Vikings, and he's like, just kidding, and runs back and snipes 2 Vikings with the 6 Marines and Stim. Really well done. Yeah, no, that's well done.
And Cure is still doing usual strong standard plays, now getting to 2, building a sensor tower. This is a much different tone than what we saw in game 1, where Cure was going a little bit base crazy and a little bit high mobility everywhere. Cure has really toned down his movement, his aggression, and is just going to one-shot a command center, plausibly. There it goes.
That's massive. That is massive. Really good job. He sieged up the tanks a little bit before SpeCial could as well, right? And that's super impressive, because SpeCial is technically the one with the vision there, because he's got all the Vikings. At the same time, this time at home, Cure is safe and sound. We have Marines chasing that Liberator. He's not taking any damage. He has started his 2-2 upgrades already. They are sniping that command center, or orbital command even, is incredibly big.
And this is just good old-fashioned strong StarCraft, right? Like, you're not necessarily trying to do a kill blow into the main base. You're trying to control expansions. Cure does not need to attack. He needs to deny a base on the left and maybe a base in the mid, or maybe allow one of those at the same time that Cure takes a 4th base. So Cure is focusing on the defense, trying to just rejoin with his Marines. Look at this. I mean, it's so easy to get into this position as Cure and to go, ooh, I'm gonna load up my medevacs and try to do some crazy drop and keep pushing my advantage. But, like, if you're ahead, just take bases. Just get more ahead.
Yep, that is exactly what he's doing. He's got that sensor tower as well. He will see where SpeCial decides to siege up. Gotta say, these Vikings have been doing really well for SpeCial, but it obviously means he's got slightly less to work with on the ground as well, and his medevac count is always going to be lower. The Marine count is heavily in favor of Cure at this point. He's got almost 20 Marines more. Here we go, that's Tim. I don't think it's ever going to work out. Cure's army on the left side was not fighting at first, but in the end, it is going to join up, and that should still be okay for the Korean Terran. Oh no, SpeCial!
Ooh,
okay.
There it is. It's just the concession. That is quite a back and forth that we just saw. When SpeCial was sieged up outside of Cure's natural and picked off the command center, I think that maybe that should have been the time to just immediately lift up and jet out of there. I mean, it's easy to get, to see red and to begin to keep charging straight into there, but one really nice surround and all the economic damage that SpeCial did was erased in a second. I was amazed at how little Cure lost when he pincered in on that containment force.
I mean, he even had his upgrades already for that fight. Like, that's not something you often see when you get contained this early into the game, but he even had those 1-1 upgrades. Combat Shield obviously did finish up in the end, so that really helped. I guess SpeCial's fear maybe was that if he would unsiege, that the Marines would just stim forward immediately and chase him, right? And he's like, well, then it's going to be a really ugly fight. So, and he had a lot of Vikings there, but no medevac. So maybe he felt like, I'm just going to stay here. What could have really helped is if the Vikings actually would have been on the ground. Because then, like, Vikings actually, they pack a serious punch against Marines. So that maybe could have helped quite a bit.
Yeah, and that's a really clever point. Because, like, with Vikings, what is the purpose that the Vikings were there for? Oh, to get a vision advantage over the opposing tanks. So that way, Special can be just on the edge, get barely in range of the enemy tanks, and the enemy tanks can't see because the Vikings are shutting down any flying unit that would have the opportunity to get that. So then once you have killed the command center, there is no position you need to break where you would need the flying units anyways. So just land all but one Viking or something like this, and then just play very safe. Or land and then run and then lift and then go home. But that was really a strong turning point for Cure.
No, absolutely. Because at that point, Cure was like, all right, okay, I took a lot of damage. I even lost the base, but now I still have this left. Let's see what I can get done on the other side of the map. And it's safe to say that he got done a whole bunch. He won a fight, then eventually Special thought it was over. It wasn't over yet, so that orbital command was suddenly left alone. That one gets picked off as well, and it felt like that truly set up the beginning of the end for that game. Finally, Sean, finally a Korean player gets a victory over a non-Korean today.
Wait. Hold on. I'm opening up my brackets. Is that the very first one? Yeah, you
today.
3-0.
It was 8-0.
Wow. The very first non-Korean or Korean versus non-Korean victory. Wow, what a showing.
Yeah. Dude. That is also ridiculous. If anybody would have predicted that, I would have been like, okay, I like it when the Europeans or the North Americans do well as well, but that's too much, guys. Like, they're not going to go 8-0 over here. Be realistic at this point.
And it's a good thing TLO didn't have an opportunity for you to make that prediction, you know?
I mean, I sort of did. I didn't think Utoma was going to win.
Prediction by proxy.
They're going to take my Dutch passport away, man. They're like, you predicted against Utoma? I'm like, oh, no. Lost my identity.
That's so funny. The next map is going to be Ever Dream. With Special leading the series 2-1. And in the bottom left, though, you had some marked aggression at the start of this series. One last game with cool, calm composure. It's DPG's Cure.
Of course, these games are being played on the Korean server because both players are in South Korea at this point. On the right top side of Everdream, look in the main base of the Mexican Terran. He's still up 2-1. Can he get the job done? It is the SpeCial.
You know, I feel like the first player in StarCraft that really emphasized this was MVP, where he seemed to always focus on making sure his units didn't die, as opposed to trying to make any move. His Hellions would never run by to pick off drones. They would always stay on the outskirts. He did all these low variance, small, conservative motions that would wind up becoming the biggest snowball possible and just punch you in the face at the end of the game. And I really love the way Cure showcased that in that game. A little bit of an advantage, just chill. Don't try to deal more damage. Just make sure that you don't take damage. Just keep pulling back, keep positioning. Really strong composure in those spots.
I mean, after Eternal Empire, I guess I can't blame him, right? Where he's like, I'm really far ahead. I'm just going to do stuff, run into you. What are you going to do about it? He's like, I've got way better upgrades. It's like, well, in mech, it kind of matters a bit less. But, I mean, that was a game where Cure was also in a really good spot. But that, I wouldn't say he lost his patience, but he definitely felt like he was playing that game. He's like, I can never lose this game. It's impossible for me to lose it. Yeah. And after he did end up losing it, he's like, all right, let's not make that mistake again.
Yeah, I mean, it's a super easy one to make. I mean, what can you do? Like when you got that adrenaline pumping, you've cleared out the natural, you've denied a fourth, or maybe even killed off a fourth. You're like, yeah, 1A, F2, attack. You know, you just keep sending in droves of units. And SpeCial was just very good at conserving his own set of units. And then Cure just lost a little here, a little there, and all that stuff always adds up. Advantages in StarCraft are built off little tiny increments over the course of a game.
This is always a funny skirmish. It's the SCV and the Reaper against the SCV and the Reaper, and it seems like Cure is gonna win this battle at first. Now SpeCial is expanding on the low ground. That grenade is not going to connect, and it means that SpeCial wins. Special wins the battle on 3 HP.
This is StarCraft! Yeah, I mean...
You know, it would be really cool if they would summon like a little octagon when the Reapers are fighting each other. It's like, all right.
Ooh, there it is.
What it is?
No, like there it is. There's the idea. There, like, let's quickly call Blizzard, guys. We have some design ideas.
Yeah, like just call down an octagon from the skies, and now the Reapers are locked in with each other. Like, there's no running away from a Reaper fight at that point anyway. So just put him in a little cage. I want to see it.
Yeah, I've always wanted some things like that are ridiculously expensive, and they're basically trash talk mechanics. Like, imagine if your command center had a 200 energy ability to drop an octagon, the game paused, and then it was just a micro battle between all the units inside the octagon.
Yes.
Right?
Wow.
Well, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah.
You need to be in charge, okay? This is the kind of game design that I can get behind. Like, I love it. Partly BM, partly really exciting. Sign me up.
Oh, it's so good.
Imagine if you have like you're winning a battle, you know, and it's like you've got 80 supply and they have like 8 supply left, and then you call down the octagon and you're like,
I know. It's like, God, why did Day9 add the octagon? I hate it when he's in charge. And I'm like, yes, good, one more person out.
All right, so SpeCial is gonna try to get some magic done. He's gonna unload the 4 Hellions in the main base. Cure not really aware of this yet, so this could get painful. But the Hellion is shooting at that one Marine at first, so did he get a lock on the medevac? No, he locked on a Hellion. Okay.
Well, this is some damage and pulling back. This is what, talk about with retaining units. Right now, there's only been 3 SCVs killed off. Unless you're going mech, these Hellions can often feel a little ineffectual as the game goes on. So it's easy to get super eager and to try to just suicide this medevac in at some point because, hey, at least the Hellions convert into some SCV kills, but a lot of times it's just better to keep the SCVs alive, man. A lot of times, not the SCV, excuse me. A lot of times it's better to just keep the Hellions alive. You can just add them to your main army and they can be a little bit of a tipping force in the upcoming fight.
Yeah, I mean, SpeCial is now up 10 workers, and he kept that medevac alive. I really think that was a little slip-up by Cure. Locking on one of these Hellions, like, sure, he picked off that one Hellion, but if that Cyclone would have locked on the medevac, then that medevac goes down, then those Hellions are trapped there as well, and maybe you lose 1 or 2 more SCVs, but at least you don't have to worry about that stuff anymore. So I think a little slip-up there, a mistake, and SpeCial, once again, in a pretty good spot after the opening phase. I mean, he's up 10 workers. You gotta love it if you're SpeCial at this point.
Both players have almost the exact same set of units. A medevac, a Raven, small number of Marines, some like 2-ish tanks, and then there's, little bit of Hellions there. And what's going to happen over the next 3, 4, 5 minutes is going to be who can position in a better way to enable more expansions. Both players are getting that 3rd command center. Both players are going to begin fleshing out all their production structures in a moment. But it's like these early pushes from Cure. You can just walk forward and maybe just deny the ability to land this 3rd.
Oh, there's 2 Ravens here on the side of SpeCial as well. He feels confident he can take this fight. He's going to drop the interference matrix and he cleans up the majority of the Marines. And I think this was a brilliant call by SpeCial. And Sean, this really goes back to what you mentioned earlier about keeping those Hellions alive. The Hellions in the middle of the map is what gives SpeCial the heads up. Hey, this attack is coming. And this attack wasn't totally ready yet for Cure because he only had 1 Raven and he made 2 Vikings behind it. So he wanted to reinforce with the Vikings. But because of the Hellions, SpeCial's like, wait a minute. If I just fight right here, right now, immediately, in a good position, this is going to be good for me. And it was. And that's all because of those Hellions and the vision he got from them.
It's just such clean decision-making from SpeCial. There's now a pair of engineering bays getting started on the side of SpeCial. Any second engineering bays for Cure? No, there's no E-bays getting produced on the side of Cure. Both players landing their 3rd at about the same time. So it looks like SpeCial is doing the same thing as Cure, but about just 5 or 10% faster.
These are some insane games we're seeing coming out of earlier Uthermal. Of course, Clem I kind of expected at this point, but now SpeCial as well, playing a best of 5 like this against somebody who's as scary and dangerous as Cure. Really impressive stuff. Obviously, SpeCial's not there yet. He's gonna have to take care of this drop in his main base. That's a good move there by Cure. He needs to get some momentum in this game, and this could very well be the start of something promising for Cure. He's down a lot of workers. He needs to get something done.
this is a little tricky when there's someone who's producing as many Vikings as SpeCial is. And this is the sort of flip side of the you have to retain units. Like, Cure is just trying to buy some time, and there's a secondary setup going up. Oh, it is the Just Viking Tank Force, which is a hilariously effective tool, to be honest. Like, the Marine-less force just wandering these core tank units into a position where the Vikings can give them vision and pick off a base.
I feel like Cure must have a Viking lead, but it's actually not the case. It's 7 against 7. I feel like he's been producing Vikings forever. These tanks are kind of in an awkward spot now. One Raven does go down, but a couple of other turrets do get dropped. This could very well be SpeCial's moment. He feels confident, but it's hard to go through that choke point. But that's still another victory. Can he land the Vikings? The answer is yes.
Oh, and Vikings are just going to tear apart tanks in these small numbers. I mean, the Gatling cannon on the Viking deals an absolute beating when there's these small number engagements. Cure is still behind on production structures, only has 3 barracks to the 5 of SpeCial. The upgrades are ahead for SpeCial. I mean, every single thing, and there it is. Just clean. Clean.
No. What a performance by SpeCial. Honestly, a very impressive showing. Yesterday, he showed us his TVT is good. You know, if you can take out time in a best of 5 in such a decisive manner, that's really impressive. But I was like, okay, time is amazing, but Cure is next level amazing, right? Apparently for SpeCial, it doesn't freaking matter at all. And I mean, that first game, that's a game that I'll probably never forget about. He's down 6 upgrades, he's down economically, he's down in everything, and somehow SpeCial wins it. Like, insane.
Man, what a showcase of clean fundamentals. And I mean, I feel like we saw the mirroring of this concept, the trying to retain the Hellions on the side of SpeCial, and then this drop from Cure, but they were Vikings, so it's almost guaranteed that all these units die. Are you going to get some SCVs? Yeah, maybe. But unless you have your opponent beat in production structures, every unit you lose means that the main army battles, when they actually do happen, mean the person that lost the units is always going to have a smaller army. So it's almost like you disproportionately have to deal damage to the economy when you do these sorts of mid-game harassment options. And I mean, just hats off to SpeCial. That was like really, really delightful to watch.
I think SpeCial just displayed some fantastic understanding of the matchup. It's not even that like, oh, his micro is clearly better, or his macro is clearly better, or Cure is making mistakes. It just feels that every scenario, SpeCial reads it so well. Even in the final stages there of Everdream with that drop in the main base, I'm like, this could get dangerous because now maybe SpeCial gets caught out of position, right? The tanks and the Vikings siege up somewhere. SpeCial drops his can underneath his potential fort base, and bam, it's right on the army. He's like, I know what's happening. I know what you're trying to do. Sieges up his tanks, and he stays safe and sound. It's really well done.
That's a really nice observation. It's like, how does a player know where everything is at all points in time? It's like experience, but then double checking. You have your experience, but let's just verify that there is in fact an army there. Because if you scan there and you see nothing, you go, oh, there's a window of opportunity here. Or you go, oh, he's flying into my main base with all his units, huh? Like, you're just trying to do these strategic scans to just cross off this list of possibilities, and SpeCial just did a magnificent job.
We stand as one.
Are